Okie dokie. Welcome. It's May 4th, and here's the coaching call. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. This presentation is intended to be informational and educational. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument. And if you need personal financial advice, please consult a financial advisor. Okay. Uh, Never a time like the present to kind of take a look at what we look for. We scan a number of lists. We scan the magic formula investing, insider money signals, the bounty spreadsheet, which really looking forward to getting back to that, strike zone. We're up to about 200 financial instruments if you count everything. We look for a very particular kind of counter trend trade on the 4-hour charts, multiple profit circles, divergence, missed pivots, fundamentals, or insiders. Then we look for a very particular kind of trend trade on the 4-hour or 1-hour chart. It could just be one profit circle in the direction of a trend, or we can look for the launch pattern, or what we call now the strike zone pattern. And Scott Welch found a couple of instruments that we're going to look at today that have that strike zone pattern. We consider a trade that can make $1,000 a small trade, and a trade that can make a $57,000 win a big trade. I think generally speaking, at the least, the $1,000 trade requires $1,000 or $2,000 account, and at the least, a $57,000 trade requires about $5,000. And so there's always kinds of conversations we have to have about, what size trades going into something. I think we have some big trades coming for May. I think we know what they are, and I think we have time to even take advantage of them. We always know our maximum loss and we know our profit goals. We manage losses by the numbers, just get out of trades that aren't working. And if we have a trade that's working, we manage it by the charts and try to stay in as long as possible. And there you go. For May, we want to find and take 5 trades that make $1,000 per $2,000 invested. We also want to find and take one big trade worth $57,000 per $5,000 invested. We want to learn to trade some companies entering bankruptcy or having bankruptcy issues because they can tend to bounce. I'm doing some research into that, which I will share with you. We want to focus our learning on how to grow a small account, and I want to increase your self-reliance so that you can do this on your own. So today, I want to talk about some trades I'm already in, and we want to talk about some trades that we could get into that Scott Welch sent over. He sent over 3 potential strike zone trades, and I'm going to list those out here. I think FCEL will be the one. So why don't we first look at Macy's and Wayfair. So this is Macy's. This is definitely a downward trend, and there's all kinds of research done into trend trading, of course. And I'm short this stock. It's a downward trend, and it's a retailer in the midst of a giant crisis. There's one glaring omission from this research or this trade or the stuff that went into this trade, and it's that there are no bearish profit circles on the 1-hour or the 4-hour charts. I basically, I've got them on the 15-minute. In fact, we've got tons on the 15-minute. And it's an undeniable bearish trend. There's no question. But at the same time, don't we take a particular kind of trend trade? And is it not true that there at least have to be some kinds of, rules about the way that's done? So what I want to do today is close this one. And I think it's great. I think it's justifiable. I think Macy's is probably worth 0. And at the same time, this is a 60-minute chart. It is a trend. But if you look at it, this is producing all of the elements of a counter trend trade that we take, not a trend trade. And the trend trade kind of obviously came right here on the 4-hour chart. That's what we look for. So it's a $250 loss. It's acceptable. It's totally reasonable to take it. and it's a way of getting a little bit back on track. So the answer to the Macy's question is no. I'm going to go ahead and close this. It didn't really meet the criteria. Now I'm always okay basically taking any kind of trade as long as I stick to money management rules that so I don't risk, taking a bad trade and then also blowing up my account. And this is one of those examples where I'm down right now $238 on Macy's. We're 1 minute away from the open. And the very first thing I'm going to do is close the trade because it doesn't really fit the criteria. So that's number one. Number two on the list of things to talk about is Wayfair. Now, does Wayfair represent a trade? Oh my gosh, there's so many pivot things going on that chart. It's ridiculous. So Macy's is now down only $172. And I'm going to close that trade. I just want to get it done right away. So I'm going to end up taking a very small loss on Macy's, 150 at the most. And Holly's writing me back. Holly's my assistant. You can check if that's okay and just leave a few at my door doing the coaching call now. Okie doke. All right. So Macy's is going to turn out to be a very, very, very small loss, and that's great. Let's go to Wayfair. Wayfair. Now, is Wayfair a good trade? We talked about the fact that there are no other stocks priced more than $20 a share with this kind of volume that have risen even close to the amount that Wayfair has risen. Wayfair is up 500% from the 19th of March. It's also bearish divergent on the 4-hour, and it's also got a bearish profit circle. Today is the day I not only want to stay in my Wayfair trade, actually want to add to it. The only problem is, oops. Okay. The only problem is we've got earnings coming up. And we've got earnings coming up today. So let's just do a little Google search for Wayfair earnings for the market open. So are they done? Did they do it? Are the earnings out? No, that's tomorrow. Yeah, so time space continuum, brain meltdown. I kind of want to add to the position today. It's got all the elements. So as opposed to the trade that we have on Macy's that now should be closed, we have this situation on Wayfair where we have bearish divergence. We have a bearish profit circle. This company is heavily indebted, and it has risen a technical impossible amount of distance. So I have in my trading account so far the $130 strike, 21st of August expiration puts. So I have my Wayfair trade is already profitable, by the way. So let's just pull up Wayfair. And I got to go to my watch list. I've got to go to W. I've got to go to Wayfair. I've got to click on options. I've got to choose so I think if you give until August, it's reasonable. And I like the oh wow, the 125s are the ones to get now. 125s. So I'm going to get 2 more of those. So I added to my Wayfair trade. I now have two puts with the $130 strike. More puts, 125 strike. Now, I haven't risked, so this trade is profitable right now. So I'm adding to a winning position. Remember, we talked about pressing the advantage. I've added to a winning position at the worst. In the worst case scenario, tomorrow I will be down $1,000 or $2,000 if this doesn't do well. Best case scenario, let's see. Best case scenario, make a couple $1,000s on this. It's not really, it's so expensive. I can't really buy enough contracts for this to grow in value so significantly. So even if it falls let's say it falls $20 a share and my options increase in value by $17 each, even if they grew in value by $17 or $15 or whatever, I'm really only talking about a total gain of $4,000 or $5,000 on those. But this is a completely justifiable and totally reasonable trade. We've got combinations of things that we look for. The only thing I believe that would scare someone from being in this position in the first place is the fact that earnings are going to be released. I'm okay with that because I am willing to go ahead and take the trade. And Wayfair has had a history of dropping at earnings. It's not a surprise. Like it's not an uncommon thing for Wayfair to drop or gap at earnings. So I think that's all I really need to say or know about it. And so I'm going to mark this down as yes, it is. It's technically a completely reasonable trade for us to be in and for us to take. Let's go to the Chewy trade because I have this in my account right now, and this is up $138 today. It's finally positive. Chewy, I think we talked about this on Friday. I think we did anyway. That there was a 100% chance that Chewy would reach and fall to and hit the monthly pivot, and that it did. Now, I don't know how much money I put into this trade. I can't remember anymore. I can't remember what I spent. I bought $6,700 worth of options here. So, and I'm up on the day $950 on the day, and my open P&L is $238. Now, I think I've seen just about everything I need to see here. I don't think I need to stay in this one. I don't think I need to. It's not a bad trade, but if you look at the chart here, it doesn't have bearish divergence on the 4-hour chart. It did on the 1-hour with a beautiful bearish profit circle. I think this is done for me. I think I have to sort of accept the fact that this one didn't have the complete technical setup that I would ordinarily look for. So let's get my money back. Let's just get my money back. This is probably going to fall further, but it fell to the monthly pivot. It's profitable. It did well. It made money. So I took a small loss. And then is Chewy a good trade? No. Took a small gain. So that one's done. And now I got that money back in my account. That gives me back my capital for the purpose of taking trades that have more potential, such as Wayfair, or such as like PDD has just been a giant interest of mine. It wasn't ever bearish divergent, and it did fall and hit the monthly pivot. This is a heavily indebted Chinese company that probably should be trading for $20 less than it is, but it doesn't actually technically have the setup we look for. So this is one I might want to push some money into in a bit, but it's just not quite there yet. MHO, Uber. Oh, Uber. Wow, look at you go, Uber. What do I have on Uber? I have the $28 puts and I have the $25 puts. I'm up today $1,700 in reversals here. So this is doing exactly what I wanted to do. So let's take a look at this and ask some questions about this. Was this a good trade? Um, and it is it a trend trade that I can justify? So on the 4 hour chart, it's definitely a downward trend. On the 60-minute chart, we have four bearish profit circles. So not only is it justifiable, it's incredibly justifiable. It is a good trade. I did take a trade. I would take this trade all over again. I would take this trade 75 times all over again. The only thing that I regret is that I didn't take it when it was overbought on the 29th of April. That's where the trade made the most sense. So so that's where it made the most sense to do the trade. But I'm okay here. I don't think this trade, I think at this point, Uber, I don't think my trade can be profitable. I think I can at best break even on this trade, unless we fall to 20 bucks. I have until June, which is not enough time. Gosh, this is really not, it was not a really, wasn't a really great trade. I got in it just too early. So, and I bought the wrong expiration. I really should have bought more time. So hopefully I'll be able to get out of this one, everything intact. Okay, let's look at, oh yeah, where does the confidence come from to stay in a trade or take it in the first place? We've had some interesting conversations where we talk about, well, I've had some bad experiences, so I didn't take that trade. So where does the confidence come from to get into and stay into a trade? And I think it comes from, the answer is, I think, it comes from being able to tie the trade to a strategy. And so today, what we did was we said, do these trades that we are in, are they justifiable in terms of actually originating from a real strategy that we know we like? And some of them were justifiable and some of them were not. What I'd like to do next is I want to look at magic formula. So we'll look at the 60-minute chart because we're going to look mostly at trend trades. AMCX has a bearish profit circle in the midst of a bear trend. That's a justifiable short. H&R Block, which, I think has the potential to reverse and move a lot, doesn't have a bearish profit circle, and it may actually rise. Hillenbrand has like 4 quadrillion bearish profit circles in the midst of a downward trend. Supernus Pharmaceuticals printed the bearish profit circles, but that's not a downward trend anymore. Stamp.com, multiple bearish profit circles in the midst of an upward trend. I wouldn't call that a bear trend. And I never saw any divergences on stamps.com. Robert Half International is probably going to fall like a ton because it's in the middle of a bearish trend. It's a staffing company. It's almost impossible to justify this going up. Corn Ferry is a staffing company, likely to drop significantly. That's trading for 27 bucks a share. I don't know what options on Corn Ferry look like. Corn Ferry is one of those companies that says, "Oh, we need a new CFO who's going to make $700,000 a year plus bonuses," and Corn Ferry goes out and the recruiters at Corn Ferry find that guy and get him in the company. The spreads on these options are stupid. Corn Ferry, $30 strike. Um, $30 strike. The spread on this is like $2. So, all right. Okay, I'm just checking some stuff on my phone, making sure I didn't do anything absolutely ridiculously crazy balls. So I can't take these Corn Ferry. I can't take this trade because there's just not enough open interest in those. AbbVie, Leidos, DLX. These all have bearish profit circles. I don't know what Deluxe Corp does. Let's find out. Printed business forms, checks, marketing solutions, and other things. Yeah, they're gonna that'll tank. That'll be the worst company of all time. I wonder what they I mean what the options look like here. Yeah, the spread's pretty wide. Weight Watchers, right? HPQ. Looking for anything that moved a lot. Let's see here. Altria. Interesting. In the midst of a downward trend, it printed a bearish profit circle. Wow, it's hard to imagine Altria not being in a really strong financial position. Is Altria the food side or is Altria the cigarette side? I think it's the cigarette side, isn't it? Oh wow, this is a great sell. Yeah, this is a good one. I'm gonna look at this. So this is a magic formula investing stock. The September puts. The September $37.50 puts have a reasonable spread. I like this. It's even a bearish profit circle on a 4-hour chart, friends. So I like, here we go. This is $1,000 trade here. So I like the put $37.50 strike. I like the 18th September expiration. I like paying, I don't know, $3.90 for it or less. I think that's $1,000 trade because I think that can fall at least to the lows or below the lows. I think it's a great trade. I think this is a absolutely magnificent trade. So I'm going to save this image and so we'll go 11. There we go. And then chart in here. And then what we'll do is we'll go expiration 18th of September. I'll change this font size and stuff in a minute. $37.50. Entry $3.90. Goal is $1,000. Requires stock to move. Really requires the stock to move about $7 to $10. Okie doke. This. There we go. Very, very happy with that one. I like it a lot. Okay, I got that one. Just making sure I've got all this stuff right. You don't want to later on think you did it right and you bought a call instead of a put or a put instead of a call. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to look at our strike zone watch list, but I've got to put MO. I wanted to sell overstock. I still do. I want to buy puts on overstock. I think we've realized that it's hard to find suitable volume. Okay, here's WATT Energus Group. Scott Welsh found this strike zone trade. It's a pretty great one, and it's trading for $2.24 a share. It has the potential to jump up after resting on this pivot. We could see what it looks like. What are the fundamentals here? What's the company all about? Wire-free charging solutions. That's kind of super cool. All right. So that's interesting. Maybe we could go to Insider Cow and see if there's any Insider Cow stuff going on. All sells. Forget it. So we'll just, it looks like all the people here are dropping their shares. Okay, so we'll take that off of the strike zone list. BKYI. Purchases. Now back in 2018, of course. But still, this looks beautiful. Look at those. It jumps, it falls, it jumps, it falls. Average volume's 1.6 million shares. This is a really nice looking chart. This is a really great find. And then FCEL. This one even looks more better. Oh my gosh. Fuel Cell Energy Incorporated. This one looks FCEL. Okay, so we have a director selling in 2018. So there's no recent. The director bought it and sold it. What a weirdo. Okay, anyway. Guy was just crushing it on buying shares of this. So nothing recent and mostly purchases. I like it. Yeah, it's got profit targets way up above. I wonder what their like cash position is and stuff. Yeah, they got $2.54 of cash for every dollar of short-term debt. They do not have earnings, but that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon in a small cap strike zone stock. Designs, manufactures, installs, operates, services stationary fuel cell power plants for distributed power generation. Okay, whatever. It's fine with me. As long as it's just not like a total and complete obvious scam. That goes on the watch list for sure. Look at all those bullish profit circles. This is exactly the kind of company that ends up going up like a gajillion%. It's trading for $1.93. Kind of love it. So yeah, I think this stays on the watch list. So Scott, if you're here, which I think you are, we could add BKYI to the watch list. I think you have the spreadsheet in FCEL, and then sometime this week we could go ahead and release one of those as a strike zone actual trade. Um, and I usually like to do that if I can, like 30 minutes before the close, like 1 hour to 30 minutes before the close. Now, I did not purposefully ignore all of your questions. Sue says time zone hopping is confusing. We run training classes around the world and it's tricky scheduling sometimes. Yeah, I just am off my game. Just off my game. William, where do you live in Florida? Okay, Jack says guild calls, gets lightning fast FDA approval, possible short squeeze, look at the large number of puts. So let's take a look at GILD. It's already moved too far. So yes, it could go up. Yes, totally and completely possible. But for me, it just doesn't have the characteristics of a trade. So I can't justify it under the like under the rules of any kind of thing that we look at. I'm also super afraid if it doesn't work. I'm also super afraid of finding out if there's just not enough people that actually have the China virus, and then like nobody needs to buy the. Drove past a hospital on the way here in Jacksonville yesterday. Drove past a hospital, and I'm not exaggerating. I don't know how to even express this. The shocking disbelief I had. The parking lot of the emergency room was empty, and the parking lot of the hospital was like half full. And I was like, what's really going on here? So, do that many people really need to take it? So, my recommendation would be I don't have any strategies that this could fit into. It doesn't really fit into, so I would not be able to bring myself to do it. Oh, the watermark, yes, Sue. Yeah, it's so much easier, isn't it? I had totally forgotten about it. Brian says, how do you know when to use a 60-minute versus a 240-minute chart? What a beautiful question. That is a lovely question, Brian. So the answer is I generally look at the 4-hour chart for counter trend trades. So typically, so there were some. Here's an example: 4-hour chart for FXI, the China ETF, bullish divergence and 2 bullish profit circles. This is an even better example: counter trend trade, bearish divergence and 3 bearish profit circles. The 4-hour chart. If I'm going to be planning counter trend trades, Brian, I really need to typically do that on a 4-hour chart. And there are very, very limited exceptions to that rule. And Wayfair is one of them because Wayfair has done something statistically impossible by rising 500% within a month. Not possible. Trend trades, on the other hand, here's gold. Trend trade. So gold was in a bullish trend. And you could see that it was in a bullish trend, it went sideways, and then it printed 2 bullish profit circles on the 4-hour chart, and then it went up again. And then it dropped, and it printed a bullish profit circle on the 60-minute chart. That would have been a completely justifiable bullish trend trade from the 60-minute chart. So trend trades can come from the 60-minute chart. So when do I know? So like Gillian, right? GI. There's not even right now on Gilead Sciences. There's not even a bullish profit circle right here. I can't even justify it. There's no way. So that's the difference between. Jeff says, what's the chance that W will act the same as Overstock? Jump on earnings and drop. So Overstock is a little bit of a different situation because, in my opinion, remember this is all my opinion. Overstock um, is a little bit different to me in the sense that it's got this sort of Bitcoin, um, like this sort of like Bitcoin crypto looking kind of feel to it. So it's got a little bit more going for it than that. The other part about Overstock is that it reported earnings at a time when the market was still pretty bullish, and so it got the push upward. So what are the chances that Wayfair is going to jump at earnings? Well, it's certainly possible. You saw what Overstock did after that. So it fell after that. So if it did jump after earnings, I think I would be interested in betting against it. So, one way or the other. I also think Wayfair is, the market cap's $11 billion. What's Overstock's? 479 million. It's a much harder thing to justify Wayfair's valuation as a company as a whole. Sue says, "How do you know $1,000 profit on MO will require the stock to move $10?" So I actually made that up, Sue, based on my powers of estimation, and I will get a real answer for you right now. Let's not. Yeah, that wasn't fair to anybody here. Let's go to options profit calculator. Long put MO. Select option. Let's just say those are $3.90. 10 contracts. And let's calculate it. And what I do down here is I do a profit and loss dollar value. And I know this is hard to see, but what I do here is I look at $1,000. Everything that makes $1,000. It really only needs to fall to $34.50, Sue, by the 16th of June. Well, actually, if it falls to $34 and make $1,500 on that, really only needs to fall to $35 by 7th of May. So I can go, oh, well, what if I still have this trade and it's August? In order to make $1,000 in August, I need the stock price to be between 33 and $34. Now, if it does fall $10, I make $6,250. I didn't know that. I was being very lazy and irresponsible with my estimation. Yeah, no one can visit their loved ones. That's right, Sue. I didn't think about that. So Brian says, so 60-minute charts are confirming a potential trend trade. Absolutely, yes. I mean, let's say you really loved Twitter. I mean, I don't, but let's say that Twitter was in an upward trend. It's not even in an upward trend, but like, you could, it's just terrible. It's actually the opposite, right? It's in a downward trend. So Twitter fell, it's in a downward trend, and it printed two bearish profit circles on the 60-minute chart. That's just a bearish trade. When Google was in a clear upward trend, Brian, all you really needed was a 60-minute chart and bullish profit circles. When Amazon was in a clear and obvious bullish trend, all you really need were bullish profit circles on the 60-minute chart. That's all you needed. Oh, especially here, these two. This is just these are good trend trades, but this is where I really get interested. The deeper drop back and then that bullish move. So if Amazon pulled back even further lower and printed a bullish profit circle, Amazon would be a buy. Not that I would ever do it. That seems completely ridiculous. Or Royal Cruise Lines. It's printing a bearish profit circle today in the midst of a completely obvious bearish trend. That's a sell. Period. 1000%. Okay. I'll see you all tomorrow. Maybe for a couple minutes, but then Scott Welsh is going to come in later in the day. But I'll record a video for you in the morning. Okay, bye for now.